Hi, Kevin Tex.
Hi, Ben. Just quickly updating the agenda. This may be a very short meeting.
Such is life.
Short meetings are good, Ben.
Short lives are not.
Long meetings, short lives, definitely not.
Hi there, Neil.
Hi.
Hi, Neil. How are you doing?
Not bad.
Great.
Getting things. My to-do list may actually have got slightly shorter today, which is just nice. It's nice when the to-do list of urgent things doesn't grow. So
Great. So thanks for joining. Hi, Jethro. I'll wait a couple of minutes to see if anyone else joins. As saying to Ben, I think this will be a very short meeting.
yes, several people I know are in the air. Well, I know people who are in the air. Yes. And of course, several people are in Vegas.
Correct. Yeah. But at least we can take a short evaluation of where we are and determine if there are any urgent issues. So, Jethro, don't think we've met. Nice to meet you. Was there anything that you or Tex wanted to add to our agenda?
Good evening. It's my first time here.
Hi there. Welcome.
I'm good. Yeah.
Having some trouble hearing you. Might be something wrong with your audio, or you might be just too far from the mic.
Oh, sorry. I said my first time here. Good evening. Hey, can you hear me?
Welcome.
Good evening, Jethro.
Yeah.
So, who do you represent, Jethro?
I just joined the Intercept Discord, so I saw there was a meeting, so I just decided to open.
Okay. Welcome.
Broad community member. Welcome.
Community member. Great.
Yeah.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
So, Tex, I assume you'll act as secretary for this meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that's here. I apologize for not being on camera. I showed up in the event that a meeting would occur so that there was a secretary present. I was unable to do so for MCC, but I was in the air, so an
I don't
excuse.
I don't think you have to apologize for not being on camera. Most of us are developer introverts who would prefer to keep the cameras off ourselves. That's fine.
Well, as the committee liaison, I still actually encourage for sitting committee members or voting committee members or whatever to have cameras on during the meeting because you guys are at a certain level. But I'm not going to push it. So not yet. Find me on a different day. Today's
fine. It's fine. You can have a bad hair day if you want.
Okay.
Going forward.
Yeah.
Process. I don't think there's anything to. Is there anything we can do today? Given there's only.
Well, let's start this formally, Neil. So we've got it on record, and then we can discuss. But at least we're making a note of the items. So welcome to the Technical Steering Committee meeting of the 6th of August 2025. Present, we have 3 voting members of the Technical Steering Committee plus Tex McCutcheon from Intersect acting as secretary. Since only 3 voting members are present, the meeting is not quorate. A lot of people, as we said, they're either away or they're attending Rare Evo in Las Vegas this week. So we're short on numbers. The items we have to consider, first of all, DRF tiebreaker carried forward. Secondly, Intersect repo policy, creation policy and process. Thirdly, product committee vision document. Fourthly, update from the parameter committee. And fifthly, Security Council update. We're short on numbers, so what I would say is, do we want to discuss any of these items? Do we want to wait for a larger group? In which case we can just carry these forward.
Is there anything that requires, of those updates, do we know if anything is germane and it requires any response from us at all?
Nothing significant. Let's work through them. So the VRF tiebreaker we need discussion on.
Yeah.
I think that's best done. Hi, Sebastian. Just going through the agenda. But we will probably keep this short. So VRF tiebreaker, that was carried forward from last week. It needs a detailed technical discussion. Adam's proposal was to discuss it in the next TSC meeting.
Adams, yeah.
Adam isn't present. I think we could have a quick discussion on it now. No, we'll postpone it. Intersect repo creation policy and process text. This is something you'd raised, I believe, with us.
I had partial delivery on that, unless you guys have missed that.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, where are we at? So you implemented the stop temporarily, and you produced some text for us to review or something.
Some documentation, yes. The top part is the main part, but there are some additional notes in a slightly different formatting that I'm looking to include still. I just haven't fully synthesized them.
Right.
So for the benefit of anyone watching this recording, Intersect has taken the steps of restricting the ability to add members to repos.
No, the creation of new repos.
The creation of new repos to Intersect staff members, I believe, Tex.
Yes.
Yes. So only Intersect staff members can create new repos. Any other steps that have been taken?
Well, in order for this to work properly, we have a form that we use for project support services. It's already been adapted to align with a front-facing or a Web2 look or feel of how to apply, how to say, hey, we need a repo. I'm going to work on the GitHub backend things. That is an intention of mine. It's just we've got an MVP right now for it's out there and it can cycle it.
Great. Thanks, Tex. Sebastian, you've raised your hand.
Yeah, I had a quick look on this as you asked for a review on our channel, right? I haven't checked back with my comments. You probably followed up Tex. Sorry if you did. There seems to be two processes, and the form is the way forward, superseding a GitHub issue-based workflow, which I found would be very fitting here, right? Because it is all in GitHub.
Yeah, I'd love to go to the issue. I'm not saying no. I did put comments in there, so I encourage you to go and read them if you haven't. Right now, we have to work with what we have going, and we've got to get some adoption on the project support services anyway. So in reality, the way it's currently set up, meaning how we were doing project support before, where we've added it, it may or may not work. I just have not had the chance to sit here and build the GitHub issue and whatnot. And then I at least had the project board. So that's going to be there in a place where y'all are more familiar to go and look at it. I don't see this as like I don't believe I have 6 people creating a repo every single week. It happens just to spur at the moment. So I've got at least a couple of weeks, and then we can adjust. We can flex.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
it
that's
seems
fine.
sensible to me to have some policy controlling the creation of repositories, tags. What we don't want is for the repos to grow unboundedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say identify what information has to flow for you to create it. The mechanism by which it's done can can be worried about later. So, as you say, if the information, identify the information flow and who gets to audit it and make decisions, and then don't worry about the web form. I would agree with Sebastian. Putting it into a, put an issue that looks like this, and we'll deal with it, is a much better approach for something that happens once a month than having to spend all the effort to look after a web form in the long term.
A part of this policy and review is if there's something that you all as technical people would be looking for in a repository request, and I have not, and what I've put together does not denote that, ask for that, whatever.
Okay.
That's what I need in there. So
I must admit, I haven't had an opportunity to look at it since you put it up yesterday. So that's all.
I mean, the content looks good, right? So what kind of things you request there is probably fine, especially for new repositories. If it is existing repositories to be migrated, this is probably all of the information is already available. I think I didn't had anything to add there. In general, it's a good thing.
Do you see the need for the community to be involved in this, or do you think, this would seem to be getting community involvement? I would have thought if it was clear that it was needed, that could be delegated to you guys to say, we're going to do this unless somebody stops us, to the various committees, and give them 48 hours to reply, and it happens, okay? As opposed to if you go out to the community, somebody might object to the spelling of the word color in the or something. I'm just trying not to create too much friction here, text. That's all.
I do understand. Put this as you catch more flies with honey. It's a.
It's a good
at the same time, but that's what happens if you want the flies to live in this case, right? I'm just saying.
Raise a very good point, Neil, right? So involvement of community is the question. Should the request be kind of like the issue we raise here, right? Like creating that repository with that purpose, if these people involved and this is the maintainer and so on, should this be like a public discourse once it's created? Or is this just a one-off thing and just whatever lands is there?
If we go back to the RACI idea, I don't mind the public being informed, right? But it's whether they ever consulted, right? I think they're informed. They don't necessarily have to be consulted. That's the difference I'm taking.
Yeah, so I'm seeing like the mode of how to do it, right? Is like if I say I want to have this new repository requested and this guy should be the maintainer, and I can tag them and they would see it, like that is going to be filed. That just adds like this is low tech and it's easy to do. If this is then, however, ending up in some kind of intersect Jira on some board where you can't really find it, that is probably a bit more annoying than it is helpful. That's what I'm thinking, and especially, I've also raised this with the document, is this only about creating new repositories, or is it about migrating existing repositories, adopting them into the intersect organization, which is a thing which happened in the past, exactly.
I think this, from my perspective, this is only about creating them. Because they have a process we have executed a process in the past for adoption, right? We've done it last year, right? So whatever that process was, I can't remember it, but we went through a process, okay? Right? I just don't want to create yet another process. But I think all I'm saying is establish who's the players, which ones you're going to consult, which you're going to inform. Then you work out how you're going to consult them, or how you're going to inform them, and then I think that should be it doesn't need to be, the community gets 2 weeks to comment, right? Or whatever. I don't think, I'm assuming, unless there's a contention, then why would these things be, in general, if they're contentious, then I hope that that will come up very quickly. Yes?
What I'd say, Tex, is if you're creating new core repos, then run them past this group for approval.
But that's it.
That seems sensible.
I would really ask, don't read too much into it, right? It says we will respond within 7 days and no request should go beyond 14 days.
Right.
mean that y'all are sitting here deliberating on it. It's a very simple yes, no. Does this pair with the tech? Do we not have an opinion? Okay, because the last thing I want to do is create a repo where someone goes building something that breaks something else, right? So I'm involving the community to what I would consider a healthy extent because I don't want to build bad open source practice.
But we but that's the contents that at this point you're talking about the name of the thing that we are trying to organize here is the name of the repo, not its content.
Well, the name and the purpose,
The
presumably.
name and the purpose and its purpose is what we're trying to organize, right? I don't think we can, on the basis of that, and what we're trying to probably, the thing we're trying to stop is obscene names that people don't want, right? Because otherwise people will do this, they do, and that the purposes are aligned with Intersect's general mission, right? That's what we're looking for. That's all we're needing.
So if you have a request from somebody that says a alternative blockchain developer, purpose of the repo, destroy Cardano, then obviously don't create it, right?
Right. Yeah, but I'm just saying,
also that code is isolated. Like, could you unpack
You
like
can't do
a
anything,
repo that's going to break another repo?
no, you
I
can't.
can't wrap my head around that
Well,
unless
you-
you add
I
dependency
don't see
chain
how-
on a private repo.
I was trying to work out how repos break other repos. Well, all we're doing here is creating a container for something to fit into it, and all we're trying to make sure is that at its creation, the container isn't aimed at, its purpose seems reasonable. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can rely on the integrity of the developers to set sensible purposes.
But I wonder, do things ever start existing in Intersect? Aren't they like kind of following kind of an incubation process? Like, is it core from the beginning on? Probably not, right? I mean, you need to create something and then it needs to be part of become part
I
of the
could see
portfolio.
splitting off like a chunk of an application into a library. I think the Node has done that many times. And
Then the request is
fine.
basically, but then it comes from somewhere, right? It's not kind of like a greenfield thing. That's what I mean.
It could be greenfield, Sebastian, possibly. But anyway, I think have we spent enough time discussing this?
Yeah, we've done this. This feels like
Okay. Do we have a decision on the table at the moment?
No, well, we're not quoted, so no decision works. I mean, I think we could say thank you for this.
Core is 6 at the moment, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just gonna recommend to the next meeting that we do we really want every repo to be approved by the TSC? I'm fine delegating this.
I mean, I think
I think it's a staff discretion, and if they want to say no, then it can come to the TSC.
Yeah. I'm just saying the TSC needs to be informed. It doesn't have to be consulted.
Oh, even the TSC has to. Okay. Yeah, I agree.
If there is text in this document that states approval, it's not meant the way it is. I can simply remove that word. It's literally just review by OSC and TSC.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't think people should have to wait a week to create a repo. I think existing staff are more than competent enough to say yes in 99% of cases.
Yeah, and it is we're saying if you need more input, you can raise it here.
Yeah,
and we can discuss it. Great question. Do you want to close that off?
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're worried about like new rogue projects coming in, that's where incubation comes in, and that directly comes to y'all for consultation for a yes/no vote. So the only people who can make the repos or propose them are people we already have contracts with or under Intersect to begin with. So risk mitigation already therein.
Yeah,
kind of.
I think the only concern is perhaps if, say, maintenance funds are redirected towards a new project without authorization, that's misappropriation. But that would be the only scenario that I'm concerned with.
Yeah, it's more of a leadership thing at that point too, anyway.
Okay. So item 3 was to, again, to remind people to look at the product vision statement that was the 2030 vision that Sam had passed on to us. There's a new version of that. So let's keep it on the back burner, and I don't think there's any point discussing that in detail here. We will raise it again next time. Parameter committee update. I was hoping Alex Moser would be here. I might ask him to give us a proper update next time. But it's essentially things are ticking over. The changes that the Plutus team was proposing to enable new primitives have been put back to later in the year. What they're proposing, rather than just enabling a couple of primitives, is to roll it all in with the next hard fork, when they'll be extending, I think, all of the Plutus v3 primitives to also work in Plutus v2 and perhaps Plutus v1 as well. So backporting to that point. So we'll see a more extensive change coming in when the next hard fork comes in. The proposal to increase Plutus memory limits we put out in July. We're now going through a waiting period, a notice period. I've proposed a tweet from the TSC to draw attention to that. I will also take an action to engage with GovTool so that we get awareness of that via GovTool. At this stage, all we're doing is notifying people, giving them notice in compliance with the security recommendation that we should provide 3 months notice of any change to security or governance critical parameters.
Quick question. How big is the increase?
Yeah, I need to.
Maybe if you could just drop it in the channel, I'd just be interested.
I'll drop it in the channel. What we're actually proposing, Ben, would be about a 25% increase.
Okay.
But to do it in 2 stages. And the reason we propose to do it in 2 stages is to avoid tripping over another guardrail, which limits the amount of the increase to a specific number of memory units. So 25% in total. First being,
we'd have to take multiple hops.
We'll need to take multiple hops.
Okay.
First stage will take the maximum hop in one go, then we'll pause, monitor the effect on the network. We're not expect the simulation results, the performance results show that there shouldn't be any serious impact, but we'll need to monitor for that, and then at an appropriate time we'll submit the second proposal that will increase to, I think it was 25%, Neil.
Yes, I think so. But I must admit, I can't remember if it was 25% then to 50%. I think it was that, actually. But we'd have to check that. Right? So it's going up by eventually 50%.
I have one short question thereafter, and then I'll let you continue. Sorry. Was the motivation based in part due to optimizations that could be applied once we abandon GHC 8 support?
No, that controls primitives, not this particular change. This particular change was driven initially by people wanting to make more complex swaps.
Right. But there wasn't necessarily optimization under the hood that.
No, this was just so that they could do more. It then turned out that they found a better way of doing it, and the motivation had the large big motivation disappeared, but nobody communicated that. So
I assure you, people are still hitting execution limits. It's fine.
That's okay. Yes, good. But I mean, the big difficulty we had, Ben, was basically we were looking for evidence why to change, and nobody would actually. Everything was circumstantial. Are you with me? It's not that we're not. It's not that we don't want to change. It's just if we're going to do evidence based, we need some evidence. Yeah.
That's
Yes.
fair.
So a number of motivations for making the change, Ben. Yeah. And one of them is obviously to unlock increased capacity. We can allow scripts to do more work in a single transaction, but that's the benefit. One of the major benefits is to make it easier for DApp developers, because they shouldn't need to nickel and dime the execution units quite as much.
Oh, I feel that quite well. So I'm glad it's happening.
Yeah, and
Thanks.
what we say is we've envisaged this. We're doing this cautiously. We've envisaged this as potentially being the first of a series of changes that gradually unlock capacity, but we don't quite know how far we can go, and we have to be. One thing that people don't always appreciate is if we use all of the capacity in this way, it won't be available for use in other ways, and there are still some things that need to be rolled out. The LSM tree upgrade, for example, that's going to have some performance impact. There may be pressure for increased block sizes.
Right.
So we just have to balance these things. If we use all the capacity in one way, we won't have it it won't be available for other things.
It's totally understandable. I think from my perspective, I see there being a potential to get more execution units down the road through optimizing the primitives. So that's my outlook, and I'm just seeing how quickly that hole is closing.
No, I have.
Looks like there's still some room thanks to GHC8.
Yeah, no, it actually the GHC was about actually enabling certain primitives to operate at all, right? And when I talked to Duncan about this in the past, he's going to say, well, somebody should fund a jet because basically that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Basically, and he could say, oh, he'd love to do it. In the sense that that'd be an interesting thing to do. So I think there are definite improvements down the line that's possible. Increasing block sizes, there's no pressure at the moment.
Yeah.
And the point is, it's about keeping the powder dry and be able to move it quickly at that point, as opposed to because it's very difficult to take back any of these things.
Right? So, but one thing that's pertinent is that we have changed the cost model for the primitives. Okay, so we took into account optimizations. I can't remember exactly when the change was made, but we took into account optimizations that had been made to the primitives, reduced the cost for the primitives whilst keeping the limit. Okay, so that has been done in the past, and that will be the correct thing to do in future, rather than probably increasing the limit, is to provide a new bring down the cost for the primitives. That's more honest in terms of what you're trying to.
The intention is you're trying to keep the total execution time and all possible executions limited to a certain. Trying to keep that under control because it's time is our problem, right?
The memory. So we're increasing memory units, which seems a bit odd. But the reason is that it turns out the memory units bound the time cost. Okay, so although we're not particularly concerned by the amount of memory that's in use, this is a useful break on the total execution cost, time execution cost for a Plutus script, because time and memory are tightly correlated. There's an argument that says, well, we could be more honest with the time units and reduce the time limits so that they're consistent with memory limits, but that potentially could impact some existing scripts, Ben. So it's
I'm not too concerned with that. If I have any follow-up question, it's really, are we still costing based on the operation of one physical machine?
Well, there's a golden machine in a corner.
There is still a golden machine in the corner. Okay.
It's sort of brought up for testing, and
I would like to get rid of the golden machine in favor of something reproducible. But
yes, I realize that. But yes, maybe that's a good thing for next.
I think the golden machine is now. I think it's now a hosted system, Ben.
Oh, it is now. Okay.
I think it is now. It's no longer someone's laptop or it is. Right, hoping to get.
But basically, this all got developed. They just did it. No one talked about how it should be done, and then you suddenly find out it's all based on the existence of this machine in the Brooks cupboard. Okay. Right.
Well, that was the original machine, but there are problems also with hosting, which is that we have hosted things before, and the hosting support has been pulled from under our feet. So you're correct that we need something consistent to do the benchmarks, Ben. The good news is that all x86 machines are broadly consistent. Okay, as long as you pick something which is representative and you stick to it, you've got something you can consistently use to predict execution costs. Bearing in mind that we're not what we're doing here is measuring the single core execution performance, and most of the differences between Intel architectures have been in multi-core performance, not the single core performance. Sorry, Tex, you've had your hand raised for a long time whilst we went into the details there.
Yeah, I'm not going to drop out, but I do need to step away I'll be AFK for a few minutes. The tweet request, I've seen no agreement or disagreement from TSC, and I would say I am aware that half of the channel is probably not paying attention to that right now. So I would just call for some attention to support that we approve that tweet, and then I would also ask why it would need to be separated. It's pretty small text-wise, so it could just be a single tweet.
Happy if you do it in one tweet text. I was just assuming that we'd be start with 140 character limit, but if we're not, we do one tweet.
I'll take a look.
So should we ask for a poll on the channel then and do this asynchronously quickly?
We don't necessarily need to do a poll because it can just be done by reactions.
So there's a procedural question, which is whether we need approval by the whole TSC for every tweet text, or do we just need approval in principle? We can raise that in the channel.
Yeah, you guys can discuss however you wish to approve it. I mean, if it's more so lazy consensus, and if I just wait, anywhere from 6, 12, or 24 hours with no kickback and then post it, or if it's as simple as saying, hey, 4 or 5 people or whatever number you all prescribe is, having reacted in a positive manner, there's green checks and red X's. I mean, it's super simple that way.
In which case, I'm going to put my check on now. Okay, Mark, that's fine.
This particular one, I suspect, A, is not particularly controversial, and B, we have some time. So the notification period is already in force. It started in July. There's still another 2 months for the period, notification period. So all we're really doing is trying to draw people's attention to it.
Reminding them
if they haven't been following the Cardano forum.
Understood.
Yeah. Anything else from the parameter committee that you thought should be raised? No. There was some discussion about possible changes to the guardrails that was being proposed. I think the conclusion was the discussion basically said keep the Constitution. We recommend keeping the Constitution the way it is, and proposing detailed changes to individual guardrails if they're needed. We haven't seen any need for significant detail changes in any of the limits yet, though that's quite possible. Okay, and Security Council update. We can there'll be a Security Council meeting next week, but I just wanted to say that we met with Mike Hornan to discuss the disaster recovery process that we mentioned a couple of weeks back. So the proposal is to execute a fire drill of the disaster recovery process on the on SanchoNet. We're going to need to do this carefully so we don't inflame people. Why are you having a fire drill? Your network is broken. We need to obviously involve the comms team appropriately. But the purpose is to confirm that the process that's been defined in SIP 135 will actually do what's required in practice, and to adapt it if not. B, to make sure that SPOs are aware of what they would need to do if there was a genuine something, a genuine issue that needed to be dealt with, so they wouldn't be approaching it cold. They would have some knowledge of what needed to be done. And thirdly, to set up the required communications channels so that people were aware of what they had to do, how they could coordinate, so we can test all the processes around that. We've debated a couple of scenarios that we would use for the fire drill, one of them being no blocks produced for an extended period of time, and the other being some bad block injected into the system. So the first one, basically what will happen is we'd expect SanjoNet to stall after a period of time. There'd be a gap in the blocks that are being produced. What we need to do is go back and fill those in. And in the other case, what we need to do would be to revert the network before the bad block was produced and then roll forward from that point. So those would be what we were testing. And these would be, we're open to other suggestions too. These would be realistic suggestions. We raised this with stakeholder operators on the call last week. So SPA is aware of that. And we'll coordinate the process. We'll start to coordinate the process when people get back from Rare Evo. But otherwise, not aware of any major issues coming up from the Security Council. Great. Anything else anyone wants to raise?
Nothing right now. I might have topics for later in August. I'm not around next week.
Yeah. How's the Hydra working? Sorry, not the Hydra working group, the Layer 2.
I'm going to disappear then. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Layer 2 working group is actually picking up well. We have had very recent good discussions, especially about interoperability on like payment, like as a special use case. So not only general UTXO interoperability, but also like the typical thing like forwarding payments, which is happening in like payment channel networks like Lightning. You could also imagine that between individual layer 2s. Even like some are having like a full like isomorphic nature like Hydra or Midgard, and some others are much more minimal like I think Subbit or other like Cardano Lightning variants which work a bit like Bitcoin Lightning. And yeah, very interesting. And I think the working group will be happening next week, co-hosted by somebody else than me because I'm not around. George and Dominic are probably running it. And
do you want to, if you want us to tweet about that as well, Sebastian, this seems like a reasonable thing to do, just to let the community know that it's happening. But it sounds like everything is operating well. It sounds like expanding the purpose, the scope of the group is working. So thank you for that.
Yeah, if you want, Tex, we could do something there. I mean, you are uploading the videos, right? We talked about that already. And there's some activity in the Discord channel now on Intersect too.
Yeah, I have not checked if there are new uploads, but if there are, I will get around to those. Just bear with me.
Yeah, I mean, these are maybe not just flowing exactly into the right bucket, probably, because I just also handed over the invite to one of my co-hosts there, because I will not recording next week, right? So they will be handing it. And yeah, we need to just the links which we publish on the meeting notes are probably the best source always. It's going to be a public link each time, and we can host it on YouTube too.
Okay,
great. Thank you, Sebastian. So if nothing else to cover, thanks for attending. Thank you for participating. We'll catch everyone when they get back from their travels next week.
Exactly. See you.
See you then. Bye, everyone.